Ciao a tutti and welcome to the second part of this series. In the first part I forged the rough blanks of these chisels and now I'm going to do some fabrication. Here I am power brushing the blanks to remove all the scale from the forging. The scale forms because of the long permanence of the pieces at a specific temperature to make them soft. And here you can see the difference between the brushed piece at the top and the scaly at the bottom. Brushing the pieces is necessary because the scale is very porous and will tend to overly absorb the layout fluid, making it less visible. If you're not familiar with layout fluid, it is a dye which is specifically designed to be scratched for marking. It is heat resistant to a certain level and it's also pretty durable, being able to resist minor scratches and such. Here I'm tracing the center line of the chisel, from which I'm going to extrapolate more precise line to help me draw up the shape at the grinder. I'm going to remove the bulk of the material with the angle grinder to save in belts and time. This is the smallest one of the 6 chisels, which is also the most difficult to refine. And here you can see I just took down the width. I haven't touched the thickness yet. At this point, I refine the shape and size on my dot grinder. I do the operation on all 4 sides using a 1, 2, 3 block for both squareness and to allow the neck of the chisel, which is thicker than the blade, to clear the work rest. With a more even thickness ground in, I can now use my high gauge to mark the center lines on all 4 sides of the chisel and also a crosshair center, which is where the center of my lathe is going to support the pieces while turning. I set the compound of my lathe at 2 degrees, which is the taper that I want to use for the neck of the first 2 chisels. I then indicate the piece in the forger chuck, trying to get an accurate reading on the forged neck, which is a pain on its own. Once everything is indicated, I bring in the live center of my lathe to support the pieces while turning, and I start throwing the tangs so they're nicely aligned with the blade. Here I'm using a carbide brace tool from Harbor Freight, which works remarkably well for the price. And then I start tapering the tangs using a high-speed sealer tool with a different shape in order to better clear the shoulders of the blade. After taking the necks to a more desirable shape, I did a first test etch, and I can't really complain about the pattern. Looks pretty nice. I repeated the operation for the other 5 chisels as well, off camera of course, because I didn't want to bore you guys to death. And sausage thumbs up. At this point I start refining the shape of the shoulders of the blade, trying to create a better transition with the neck of the chisel. And here it is in all its symmetrical glory. After better cleaning up the blade, I do another test edge. Edges are kind of an addiction for bladesmiths who make pattern welded steel. And here you can see the line where the edge steel meets the Damascus. With shape and size all refined, I can now take better measurements and mark the lines with my high gauge where the side bevels are gonna be.
Working hard today?
Hardly working.
Oh. Guess it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. And sometimes my neighbors pop in for a quick chat. I can't really complain though. I have really nice shop neighbors. And here you can see the reference lines where the side bevels are going to be. I also mark the minimum thickness of the edge. Here you can see the line. It's very faint to the camera, but it's there nonetheless. All the lines are marked on all 6 chisels, and we are ready to grind. I use a 10 inches wheel on my belt grinder because I like the look of hollow bevels on a chisel. At this point, the metal is really soft since it's not been heat treated yet, and that's why you don't see many sparks coming from the belt. And here you can see the first bevel. Look how good the hollow looks. Since this kind of Damascus looks at its best when it's deeply ground, I do another test etch to see how it looks. And I can't really complain, it looks pretty nice. And here you can see again where the edge steel meets the Damascus. And another sausage thumbs up. All 6 chisels are ground and looking good. And now one of my favorite parts of fabrication, which is file work. There is something extremely satisfying in removing hard steel with a sharp file. I repeat the operation all around the chisel, cleaning up all the transitions. And here you can see all the transitions are very smooth and clean. And here I use a slack belt on my grinder to remove the tool marks from my lathe, taking it to a higher grit, so it's easier to polish it after heat treating. Here I do some normalization, which is a thermal cycle designed to refine the grain of the steel. I then quench the blades to give them the hardness required to hold an edge. Off camera I also temper them to give them the toughness required to hold an impact. Thank you so much for following me so far, and don't forget to smash the like and subscribe button so you can get notified when the third and last installment of this series pops up. Ciao tutti!